Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag Side Quest episode, where we are talking about Dispatch.
Yeah,
I am
it was.
I still got two intros, Aaron.
Gosh.
I am this is Dispatcher of this episode. With us, our hero in training, Aaron.
Thank you for having me. You were so delayed on that intro. You literally had a look on your face like you did not know what game we were just talking about.
I mean, it's always we don't do enough side quest episodes that I have like a rhythm. You know, I've been doing this podcast for a while. You got a rhythm.
That is true. And we do not do this in the daytime. It is weird seeing this episode.
There's sunlight.
Your room is fully lit. My office is fully lit with natural sunlight coming in through the window here. So it is kind of funny to do these things in the daytime. But thank you for having me on this episode.
But yeah, as I said, me and Aaron are here to talk about Dispatch. So just obviously, yes, this is Game Pass Grab Bag. This game is not on Game Pass. In fact, it's not even on Xbox. And as far as I can see, I don't think they plan on releasing it on Xbox, which is really odd.
Is it though? That seems to be a trend. The trend seems to be PC and PlayStation.
It's on Switch.
Maybe an Xbox release. Yeah, I mean, Switch can be a little funky there too, but there's not much of a buyer's market on Xbox, so I think it really is kind of a, maybe if it's worth it for us. So you could see one. It might be further on down the road though.
But it's still, that makes no sense to me. Like, because how much money does it cost to put your game on another console? To me, it's like, you think your sales are going to be so low that you lose money?
I think this is something worth discussing maybe on like a future episode, but I genuinely think that the next Xbox will fix all of that. Because I think the next Xbox, from all accounts that have come out so far, it is basically going to be a PC. So if something releases on PC, it releases on Xbox. So, very realistic that in the future this will be corrected, because the Xbox as a platform is going to see a pretty big shift.
See, my only question as to why it possibly isn't on Xbox is because Xbox kind of has some weird rules about nudity
over Nintendo.
And but that was the thing. The fact that I saw this was on Nintendo, and Nintendo had edited things, like they had a splash art of like them at a poolside, and they obviously reduced a lot of cleavage. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, if Nintendo's doing that and they're okay with that, like, then that's clearly not the issue anymore. But that originally was my thought.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure the reason why this wouldn't be on Xbox. There's no reason for that to be the case, outside of just to port it was going to take them time and money, and it wasn't worth it for them to do that.
Yeah. But if you don't know, so if you listen to our end of the year wrap up video, Aaron picked this game, Dispatch, as his game of the year. So, of course, naturally, I was like, well, if this is his game of the year, I got to check this out because I've heard some things about it. And I'm like, okay, let's see how this is. If you don't know what Dispatch is a narrative story-driven game where you are playing a ex-superhero who is kind of retired. He's kind of out of the business, but there is an organization that essentially works as a police force, a hireable police force, where people can hire superheroes to basically do any sort of task, being very remedial to very, security to crowd control, just about anything. And so since you are retired, you're not really doing anything else, they hire you as a dispatcher. So you work behind the computer and you are selecting certain superheroes on your team to go to various jobs around the town and have them kind of fix problems. But this is a very story heavy game. So you're doing a lot of dialogue choices, which will affect the story later on in the run. And there's also a lot of quick time events. So you're kind of interacting things here and there. But very much think of like a Telltale game meets, if you have not played it, I highly recommend it. This is the Police. This is once again another Dispatch game. It's a small indie game. Absolutely love that game. But anyway, let's get into, I guess we really don't need a Gamer Pass in this, Aaron, because
obviously I'm giving it a game. So
yes.
yeah. So I guess kind of jumping into it, you were somewhat hesitant on this. So when we did the end of the year episode, again, please check that out if you haven't checked that out. When we did that episode and I mentioned that my non-Game Pass game of the year was Dispatch, you kind of scoffed at that one a little bit. So obviously you just mentioned you went ahead and did it. What was your overall takeaway. When you get to the end, you get roll credits. Is this the best Telltale version game ever made?
The best ever.
Or okay, fine. Andrew,
no.
I'll start smaller for you. I'll start smaller for you because that is just kind of a huge ask. Was this better than you expected?
Better than I expected, I would say no. But was this the best? Now that I'm thinking about it, is this the best? I'd actually probably say yes. Because I'm trying to think of the other ones I always think very highly of. The Wolf Among Us is my favorite Telltale one.
That one is outstanding.
I really like The Wolf Among Us.
To me, it's The Wolf Among Us and The Quarry are probably my two favorite.
The Quarry was very good, but I remember I had some issues. It was just very long.
Yes.
The other one was we always end up forgetting the name of the stinking game.
I always forget The Quarry. I always forget that it's called The Quarry.
No, the one that we're in the motel and it's a robbery.
Oh, it was something with Dusk.
I keep wanting to say Until Dawn, but that's the other.
That one's pretty good too.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I don't remember the name of it either, but that did come out on Game Pass.
But that one was very good. And so like those are usually my two, The Wolf Among Us and the one I can never remember the stinking name for.
I will say that one is really good because I felt like the consequences were really obvious.
Yeah.
When you made a good or bad decision, like I felt like I got a pretty quick feedback on, whoops, you just screwed up there. That one was a pretty good one. You know what? That one I don't think about as much just because it kind of came out of nowhere. It didn't really have a whole lot of fanfare either.
It didn't. Yeah. It really did just kind of come and go.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, The Wolf Among Us, I'm with you 100%. I thought the Walking Dead ones were pretty good.
The first Walking Dead is phenomenal.
Yeah.
From dusk till as dusk falls. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I always forget that one.
That one was a good one, though. I'll give it to you. So would you say then, out of that list, because now I'll get to the hard part, is this the best one ever made? And you're saying yes.
I would say yes. But but to answer your other question, when you said, did this exceed my expectations? Unfortunately, no, because this game was the hot commodity. A lot of people were talking about it. So some things kind of got spoiled for me. So I ended up playing this game because, anytime I visit up north, one of my best friends, Mason, we usually just drink, hang around the house, and either watch a very terrible movie, like before we watched the newest Matrix movie, which, God, that was awful, and then Happy Gilmore 2. But the other thing we end up doing is watching or playing a game like this. So we did As Dusk Falls. Me and him played the entire game through, 2-player. And so when I heard about Dispatch, I was like, well, why don't we do Dispatch? And so we ended up doing this. So we literally played this entire game in a night. We literally just ended up drinking beers all night and just playing this game. So there was a handful of choices I knew where kind of the consequences were going to be down the road. So I did not make choices. So if I knew it, I was like, dude, you got to figure this out. I was like, I already know the answer. What would you do in this situation? And luckily he didn't steer us wrong. So I think by the end, we actually got the best ending, which everyone says is supposed to be pretty hard. So I think it's just the fact that some things were kind of spoiled for me. It was like, Yeah. And the ending is like, it's not like the ending's like a twist. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was good.
Yeah, and I should add out there, if you were lucky enough to not get any spoilers, then good on you.
Yeah.
I would recommend playing this spoiler free as much as possible. And it was hard.
You watch one clip and it's nonstop in my feed. Oh, here's more Dispatch, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I caught very, very, very small clips. Now, another thing to note about this game. So this is created by ex-Telltale employees.
Yep. Ad Hoc Studios.
Yep. Telltale doesn't exist anymore, so some guys got together and they made this game here. It was animated by, I want to say it was like this basically no-name company in the Philippines. And they did it in episodes, right? There's 8 episodes, if I remember correctly?
Yep.
Okay, so it's 8 episodes. So the reason I even heard about it, I did not hear about this game for, the first 7 episodes. It was when the 8th episode, so the final episode finally came out. That's when I suddenly heard about it and I heard all this hype about it. So I was very fortunate. I missed all of the spoilers there. So again, if you have not gotten any of the spoilers, but it is 8 episodes, it is complete now. So if you do go and purchase this on Steam, or if you've got a PlayStation, you will get all those episodes. But yeah, I mean, right off the bat, the animation in this, again, knowing kind of that backstory, I think the animations in this are incredible. I mean, this
Yeah.
looks like a fully fleshed out. It is kind of one of those I hate when it comes to these Telltale choose your own adventure games. When you're playing them, you're like, this could be a show. But genuinely, the quality is so dang good on this. This could be a show, and I would 100% watch this.
So, well, so this is a show and also not. All right. Because, like, the one thing that kind of annoys me with Telltale games, I love the Telltale games, but the thing that the gameplay you get in Telltale games is just walking around a small area, finding a thing
Yeah.
to pick up, and maybe kind of solve a simple puzzle. Dispatch gets rid of that. Instead, the gameplay in Dispatch is the actual dispatch work, which I gotta say, way better, way more interactive, way more story driven, and it's flowing. Because there's a handful of times in a Telltale game where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm looking for something, I can't find it, and it's just it's literally padding time, and it's like this isn't fun. I don't like this. So already off the bat, I really like this in Dispatch, where it's like, no, there's actual gameplay here. But I will say the thing that first turned me off with Dispatch, it's about superheroes, which, okay, we've already had a very long string of Marvel, but it's edgy superheroes. But that, once again, is also kind of getting played. We have The Boys, Invincible is kind of also very popular now. So when I first saw this, I thought, even too with the art style, I thought this very much was trying to be Invincible.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, is this just going to be overly grotesquely gross, unnecessary, like nudity, sexuality, stuff like that? But no, I will say, surprising by the end of this, the humor in it, there was some very childish humor in it, but it actually always made me crack up and laugh. This actually wasn't over the top. Like, I was expecting a like F-bomb every other word kind of thing, and it's just like, no, it was pretty tame.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I totally agree with you that animation style, if you were to say this looks a lot like Invincible, I would 100% agree with you. It's kind of hard to ignore that. I think for me, what hooked me shockingly quickly, how quickly it got me, was I cared about the characters pretty darn quickly,
Yeah.
And every single character has its own unique set of charm. Even the ones that are kind of just douches,
Yeah.
they still have these types of redeemable qualities to them that make them interesting and kind of add to the dynamic in the group. And I was shocked at how quickly I was just kind of hooked to these characters. Because the overarching story of this game is so-so. You've probably seen versions of it. But it's the in-between. It's all the mush in between
Yeah.
that really, really works for it. And
The
it was-
interactions with each other.
they're supernatural, like not supernatural, like they're just natural. They're very natural. They're very natural interactions. And in some cases it's just workplace drama, but in others, it's kind of like background trauma on things, and it just blends perfectly. So if you are really trying to look for a story to get invested in for, what is this, maybe 8-ish hours, 8 to 10 hours?
Yeah, I'd say about
Just
time to
about?
beat 9 hours. Yeah.
So I would say that this is completely worth it. But I do want to talk, though, a little bit about the gameplay itself. So the dispatching part of itself, because you've already kind of alluded to that. One of the things that I liked about the dispatching stuff itself is how interactive it is to the story. It's not like just a mini game for the sake of a mini game. There is a mini game in the dispatch that is a mini game for the sake of a mini game.
Yeah.
Where you're hacking, but
Yeah, I didn't care for those.
they're fine. They're
Yeah.
fine, and I guess technically it can affect the outcome of certain jobs. But I liked the fact that even while you're playing that, there's dialogue back and forth. There's drama building just while you're doing the dispatch stuff. So you're still got this game going on that you're interacting with, but it still is playing out the story as you're doing that as well. I really love that. I thought that was a really clever way of doing it. I totally agree with you. Stop sticking me in a room to go around and get collectibles and, kind of maneuver through a room. Do something like this. I think this is actually a really good twist on that.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you. So there also is quick time events, but right at the beginning of the game, it actually tells you, do you want to turn them off? Did you turn them off?
No, but I wish I did.
Yeah, me and my friend Mason did, because we thought about it. We're like, because there's
They're
no
pointless.
actual multiplayer mode in this. Like some of these games will have a multiplayer mode where you both can have a controller and kind of vote on things. But we were just like, hey, you know what? Like one person's gonna be holding a controller. Like I just want to sit and enjoy the story. So we turned it off, and I'm glad we did.
They're pointless.
They are.
I'm not entirely sure actually if those quick time events actually do anything.
I've seen footage, and it looks like it doesn't affect the overall story. It just kind of does different animation kind of stuff.
So, yeah. So you right off the bat, very early on in the story, if you do the quick time events, there is a sequence, and I realized right off the bat, like, oh, you're kind of just making me interact to keep me busy, but it's
That's
not
what I
actually
thought it
doing
was gonna be
anything.
too. Yeah.
And then there's like large gaps of nothing of these quick time events. It's almost like they abandoned it. And then it came back randomly in a much later episode. And I wasn't paying attention and missed a bunch because I almost forgot these quick time events even existed. And I did wonder, crap, did I just affect the story there? Or I don't know. I haven't been able to compare it. But they were kind of pointless. I would recommend if somebody's firing this up and it asks you if you want to do the quick time events, in my opinion, I would skip them because there's just not many. I can think of 3 events where it happens at the beginning, someplace in the middle, and then at the very end. And I legit don't think it has any effect on the game itself. So I don't know. I would say it's passable.
All right. So there you go. If you do play this game, recommend just turn off quick time events.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
You,
I
you
didn't
had
think
it
that
the
we
right way.
missed anything.
You had it the right way. Oh, did you have anything else you were going to jump on?
Um, do we want to discuss choices?
I know that is always the tough part here because I don't want to necessarily jump into spoilers here because I do
Well-
highly recommend people go check this game out. Because again,
all right, well,
my favorite game of last year.
I guess I have a question of like that it isn't spoilers. So when you're doing dispatching with your superheroes, if they are successful, so I gotta say the dispatching tube is also an interesting mechanic.
Yeah,
So let's say there's a job where a house is on fire. There's kind of different routes you can do. You could pick a hero that maybe has water based or fire based, and maybe they could try to put out the fire. But not only that, every hero has a stats. So it's a grid of intelligence, charisma, dexterity, strength,
Speed.
constitution,
Yeah,
speed.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like it's like 5 different things. And they can level up. And then when you send them to dispatch, it's kind of a random thing. Like, oh, the job required a level 4 speed and a level 5 constitution, and how your hero's grid lands on it. There's a dot that goes around, so there's still a chance you could fail.
it's almost like it's rolling a dice kind
Yeah.
of thing, but your
Which-
chances are increased the more you fill up that space.
Which was kind of annoying because there's times where I'm like, oh, you have a 90% chance to succeed, and I would fail. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, are you serious? How did I fail that? So that kind of got a little bit annoying. But anyway, if your heroes succeed, you actually can level them up, increase their stats, and so they kind of get better on different things. How did you build your team?
Really good question. I towards the end, I probably switched it a little bit more than I did at the beginning. Like the things that I kind of learned. So yeah, the challenge as a dispatcher is you're listening to a call and trying to determine what type of situation that is. Like obviously if they say, "Hey, I need someone to get here quick." All right, I'm going to need some speed here. Obviously, if you've got some of your fast guys out on the field, well, now you're in a little bit of a pickle. But one of the things I did learn, you don't always have to send the maximum amount of heroes. I would get caught up on this a lot very early on.
You kept setting the max amount of heroes.
Yeah, so
Wow.
again, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how this works, when a job comes up, sometimes it just gives you one slot. You can send one person, sometimes it's 2, 3, or 4. And me, I would like, oh, there's 4 slots. I'll just send 4 heroes to this. And I realized pretty quickly that, oh, that's kind of dumb because you're really putting yourself in a tough spot to do that.
We kept sending one, and it kept failing.
I think you can get away with it in a lot of cases with 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I tried spreading things out according to like how they were naturally skilled. So if they already had pretty good speed, I would try and hone more into that corner of speed and, well, I don't know, charisma or something like that. And I would try and do it that way to try and even my team out as much as possible. Because it seems like what you want to do is try to get as much as the slice of the pie
Yeah.
when it does that randomized kind of roll of the die. Again, this stuff, I get it. Like the randomized part of it does kind of suck, but all right, I'm kind of okay with that. I don't want just everything to be 100%. Like that's fine to kind of randomize that a little bit. So I didn't have any issue with that. I was kind of just surprised at how in depth some of that stuff was. I didn't expect this game to have that. I thought this would be kind of a secondary thought, but I actually had a lot of fun with it.
See, yeah, me and my friend Mason, we try to really focus on one stat basically for each person.
Yeah,
Like, oh, the fire guy, he's straight combat. He's gonna be maximum combat. Because, like I said, we always try to do 2 people. So when you got a case where it's like, oh, I need someone with speed and charisma, it's like great. We send our speed guy, we send our charisma person. There we go. 2 people make a great pie. They're probably gonna succeed. But it was difficult because the story happens and some people may not be in work that day, and it's like crap. We just lost our main combat guy, and now we're really struggling.
I would spread it out because their stats aren't just all in one category.
No.
They're usually kind of in a few.
Yeah.
And you gotta spread them out a little bit. Like that's why I would say like I would try and get, instead of just a straight sliver of we're gonna go hard on this, I would kind of expand it a little bit because for those very reasons. Is that okay? I don't want just one person to be good at combat because sometimes you need 2 jobs in a row that need combat. And
well, we did it right because we got the best ending.
you got the best ending, not because of necessarily in the game. You got it from choices that happen outside of it. That is probably something, again, kind of important to note, that what you do on the dispatch side of things isn't necessarily super relevant
I was curious
to the
about
overall
that.
story.
And like that I will say that is something that a little kind of disappoints me is that, I mean, granted, it's a 9-hour game. Like that obviously is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it was, the dispatching did kind of just seem like, it's just a fun gameplay thing.
Yeah. I didn't think it was like, I expected it to be thinner than that, though. That's my point.
That's true.
The fact that-
I did not know there was like an RPG element of you leveling up your
Yes.
characters.
Like there was, and I got really engaged in it. And you're right. Overall, how much does that affect the story? I don't think it does. I can't think of anything that I could have done there because nobody can actually die. They're fine after, and you can revive them mid gameplay anyway. So it's not like any of that stuff gets affected. And even then, even like when people would have attitudes all the time, it didn't necessarily affect. Sometimes it was in the story, but I think it was part of the story. There was nothing you could really do about that. So yeah, it's not super important to nail it on that dispatch side of things, other than your stats. It did look cool on your stats when you were like, how many times did I fail? But other than that, it's just for fun.
See, I think the dispatching part, like, I liked it. But like I said, there's a indie game called This Is the Police. Highly recommend it, where you are playing police chief and you are dispatching police officers. But in that game that I liked, you would get some calls that were false calls. And it was like, don't waste an officer going there. Because somebody's like, oh, I hear a noise next door. And you just find out it's a cat. And it's like, great, I just waste an officer to go there. And it's nothing. So at first I thought that's what this dispatch was doing. But no, that's not the case. Because you will get people who are like, oh, can someone bring my groceries in? No, you actually got to send a superhero over there to bring someone's groceries in. It's like, that's kind of annoying. So I kind of wish I had a little bit more of like choices of that. Of like, no. Like,
I think
let's
some of
waste my
that
time.
stuff was made to be funny. Like obviously
It
some of
is.
those calls are just funny, and that's all it's really trying to be. So I don't know. I didn't look that far into it because that is not the main point of the game. It's not. Obviously, this is the police. That is the main point of the game.
Yeah.
This is far more about the overarching story. Well, more the relationships than anything else.
Yeah. Which, the relationships in this game, as you said, so good.
Who's your favorite character?
That's a tough call. Like,
It is tough.
so at first I hated Flambe because he's a complete jerk.
Yep.
But I'm like, this guy's kind of nice.
And you kind of understand him a little bit later on.
I mean, I guess my favorite though is Marathoner, the old guy.
Yeah, everybody likes him.
Yeah, I mean, because he's also the highest interaction. And so it's like obviously you're doing a lot with him.
No, his name was Trackstar. That was the
Trackstar,
serial
that's it. I remember
name.
it was like I was like it's not like Sprinter, but it was something slightly like it but different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trackstar. But yeah, no, his he was cool.
He's
I
really good.
I don't know.
I wish they gave a little bit more time. Gosh, I know. I should have pulled up characters'
I wish they gave
names.
him a little more time to the Golem. I
Yeah.
wish they gave a little more time to the fighter guy, the short fighter guy,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
because he
because
really did not say much.
no, I think that's voiced by Jacksepticeye. I think is who voices that character. So
Which this I will say also another turnoff for me on this game. I saw we were like, oh, there's a bunch of streamers who are voice actors in this game. I'm like, okay, that's just gimmicky and stupid.
it didn't
Like
take
the
me out though.
no, it
Didn't
didn't.
take me out, and they
I
were
actually
all
thought
pretty
everyone
good.
did good. Yeah,
Everyone did a pretty good job. They seemed like they were natural fits for that. Even using Moist Critical as one of the characters there. Obviously, his voice is incredibly recognizable, but I was easily blended into it. You had mentioned something to me too. So the main character in this game is voiced by Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad fame. You sounded like you weren't that into him doing the voice there. I
well,
thought he worked.
honestly, outside of Breaking Bad, I have not cared for Aaron Paul in anything.
No, I
And so and that's what kind of was like, but voice acting, I guess, is a little bit different. He actually had, because to me, Aaron Paul has no emotion. Even in Breaking Bad, he didn't have any emotion, but that was his character. Like, so it
yeah.
worked. Like he was just depressed all the time. But yeah, when he's not in Breaking Bad, and so I was like, I don't know. To me, I just feel like his range of emotion is so limited. But for this, for voice acting, did a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my favorite character was Phenomenon. I think it's just a fun little twist on the Superman character
Yeah,
of, and you know what, in a way, gosh, it actually does a better job of understanding Superman than recent Superman films have, because ultimately Superman is an alien
yep,
who is foreign to these emotions and feelings that humans have interactions with. So Phenomenon Man is this, pristine character who is also dealing with depression and and trying to figure out how human interactions kind of work with each other. And I thought that was great. I thought it actually did a better job of understanding the plight of Superman trying to relate to the people he's saving.
yeah.
I really liked his character. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not going to get into a spoiler, but there was another moment in this game. There are two moments in this game that really stick out to me as just phenomenal writing. And again, I won't get in any spoilers. I've mentioned to you, and I think I even mentioned on that year-end podcast, one of my favorite scenes is really a musical number that takes place in an apartment. All I mean is not like they're doing a musical, but like there's just music playing and it's playing out the scene.
It's a montage.
It's a montage. And I don't know why, to me, that was so expertly done. It just stuck out to me at like, oh, like, cool. Like, you're kind of seeing the team and you're kind of seeing all these things come together. And I don't know why normally those things don't hit me, but it hit me in that scene where I was just like, gosh, I love this. This is way too cool. Probably a nondescript moment. You sounded like you kind of recognized it too, but that one really
Yeah.
stuck out to me.
It's very cool because once again, that was a little. It's not a spoiler if you do see the scene, but at least I've seen people be like, "Oh, this is how the scene looks different depending on some of your choices," and it is pretty cool. Of like, what characters could be there, could not be there, how things are kind of interacted. It's like, all right, this is actually pretty cool. So this game does have a lot of choices in it, and it actually does kind of play out, which is, and like that scene is a perfect example of it. I will say the musical score in this game, like they have a good soundtrack to it.
Yeah, there's not a ton of music, but when it does come up, it is all very, very good. So very pleased on that front. I'm kind of curious though if this next scene though that I really, really loved in this game was similar or different, because I know you and I made a choice very early on in the game that was different from each other. So I do wonder how this scene kind of played out for you. But towards the end of the game, you come face to face with the main boss, and you're kind of immediately kind of put into danger. What I loved about that scene, though, is you don't get a lot with the big bad in this game. There's
Yeah.
not a lot in there. He's kind of always
Literally,
in
I
the,
think the last 2 chapters is where you
yeah,
talk to him.
he's really kind of like in the background the whole time, but it's just not really about that, even though it's kind of the main part of your story. But in that scene, what I loved about it is there are two instances where he shows a lot of reverence and respect to one of the heroes. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why, but that really stuck out to me because usually in an instance like that, he's bad and he's evil and he's just going to be nasty the whole time. And I loved that he shows so much respect to this one main hero, as I think he keeps referring to this hero as like the last real hero.
Yeah.
And you know, ends up harming somebody else who's speaking disrespectfully about that person. And I was like, what an interesting take on this. Even to the point where the hero makes a threat, and the main villain's whole thing is he can kind of like perceive chances of something being true or not, or like what the outcome of things will be.
Yeah.
And he knows that that hero is lying at how much damage they can actually do, but still kind of respects them and walks out of the interaction. I don't know why, but again, really, really good writing to sit there and add another element. Like, do we just make this guy just evil for the sake of evil, and he's going to be nasty here?
Yeah. He just beats up his own people.
And
yeah.
be like,
disrespect him, yeah.
oh, I know you're dying right now, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Instead, he has like this weird kind of reverence for that character, even though they're opposed to them. And I really, really love that element. There's a whole lot of that in this game, but it's moments like those where it sticks out, where here I am really being introduced to the bad guy for the first time. And then this is
Yeah, that
kind
actually
of-
is the first time. I didn't
I
think
think
about
it's
that.
the first time you actually kind of see them without a mask on. So you kind of know who that is. And this is kind of your initial interactions with them. You see them obviously being very evil, but then also added an element of yes, but they also kind of understand you should respect these superheroes. I don't know why. I was really kind of caught off guard by that. There's a lot of elements of things like that happening throughout the game, but those were the two that really stuck out to me as this is just darn good writing. It understands how to nail these interactions better than 95% of the video games you see today.
Yeah, because a thing I kind of dawned on me about this too. When it comes to Telltale games, it is like it's like everyone knows. When it comes to Telltale games, it's chapter 4, chapter 3, or chapter 4.
Okay.
One of those mid chapters. It's always that chapter is always bad in any game, whether Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Expanse, anything. Anytime a Telltale game makes, they always have a very bad chapter. That was just kind of like, it's a bridge chapter. We just got to put it in here. In Dispatch, there's 8 chapters, and I don't think a single one is weak. I don't think there was a one when the credits rolled. I was like, okay, whatever, next one. Every single one was like, oh, okay, cool. Like a lot happened. Like I got to build these characters. This is fun.
Yeah. Couldn't wait to get to the next episode. So I couldn't believe people went through this and had to wait large gaps in between them. Cause
I didn't think it was large. I think it was like a couple weeks.
really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like months.
No, it was definitely not that long.
Oh, okay. Then maybe that's
Because
not
I remember people talking about this game during the summer.
and it
Near the
just
end,
released
like
its final episode, what, in November?
I
Early December?
think so. I think it was even early. I think it was October.
Okay. So maybe it's not awful. I thought it was much longer than that. And because I'm okay with, obviously we grew up in an era where, streaming wasn't, the main thing. So it wasn't like we were getting episodes to everything all at once. We had to wait for that stuff. And I'm fine with that. I think that kind of moment of suspense still works. But I was liking this so much, I think I would have been a little annoyed to kind of have to wait between those episodes. But yeah, every episode felt really, really good. That kind of reminds me, what's that show? Law and Order. Everyone says there was like this theory that the villain or the bad guy in Law and Order is always revealed. I want to say it's at like the 12-minute mark or something like that. Like you will always know at that point who the bad guy actually is. That just kind of reminds me of that, of where it's kind of on a formula by episode 3, everything's going to go to crap.
Nope. Okay. Okay. Chapter 1 and 2 were released October 22nd. The third chapter, October 29th.
Okay.
And the fourth chapter is October 29th. Fifth and sixth, November 5th. And then the final game was released November 12th.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yes. So, yeah, it was a pretty quick, short time.
That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. I should also add, too, the developers have said, I've seen an interview with them kind of talking about this game, that they sold a decent amount of copies. I know at least as of December, it was over 2 million. It's probably well beyond that at that point. I think it's $30. I think it was 30 when I got it. Maybe it was a little cheaper. It might have been a Steam sale or something like that. But
I bought it on a Steam sale for like 22. Yeah, so I think base it's 30.
Yeah, 100% worth the price, though. I think if you like single player story games, 100% worth it.
Yep, $30. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's like the price of a movie.
Yeah.
And this is way more entertaining than a movie.
Yeah, I would agree. And the developers did basically say, like, hey, if you can't afford it, just go watch a playthrough. Like, they seemed like they're proud of this. They just want you to enjoy it no matter what.
Why would you put it on Xbox?
Well, that's the thing, is it might get there. They were a small studio, so you do have to pick and choose the largest audiences. We've seen that many times in the past.
Yeah.
They have to pick the largest audiences. Xbox is not it.
Well, that's the thing. It's usually because of like hardware limitation or some sort of like
yeah. I think it's really just a porting thing.
Yeah, but in this, it's just like a porting thing. It's like, I don't know.
It might make it.
But so what do you want to see for the future, though? Do you want the same team? Do you just want a continuing story? Or do you want something new?
So the game does kind of leave it in a place of this should continue. There'd be no reason why you wouldn't continue this.
I think they announced a season 2.
Oh, okay. I want to keep the same team, but just introduce new characters along the way. So that's what I want. I don't want to completely reset this thing. I have things invested here. I really want to see where it goes. Part of me is afraid of replaying this because I don't want that to be my main save. Like, I like the choices I made my first run, so I kind of don't want to mess with that. But this game not being horribly long, the replay factor is, to me, reasonable to go back and do it. I would have no problem doing that.
So the studio said as of January, they haven't fully announced it. They're going to probably figure out this month of whether or not they want to do a season 2, but it sounds like they're leaning towards it.
I would imagine, again, this sold a lot of copies.
Yeah.
This was a really big hit there through November and December. So I would venture a guess they're looking at this and saying, all right, we've got something, and they should. They should go back to that.
I would not hate a new cast. Like,
why?
Because I feel like a lot of these characters did kind of go through. I wouldn't hate it too if they continued, but I also wouldn't hate if they did a new cast, because it is kind of like, I don't know, especially with your main character, you kind of did your main character. Obviously, you can kind of come up with new problems, but I mean, are they going to keep hiring Aaron Paul and all these people again? Like, that's going to be expensive.
So, again, kind of a vague question for you, story-wise. So I don't want you to necessarily spoil it. Did your game end with another villain?
No.
Okay. Mine did. So that's why.
And then that also brings up the next problem with the season 2. Does it read your previous file?
I think it would.
And it plays off of that. I mean, that's going to be a lot of work for the studio.
That's going to be a lot of work. But I don't know. You could be right. I mean, maybe it's in this world. It's maybe in the same dispatch building, so those characters are kind of coming in and out. Then maybe one of those characters is the new dispatch person, so you're really following them through it. And Aaron Paul's character is really kind of a secondary character that go around. I mean, there's some options.
Because, I mean, there's times I thought about that, because you do see a decent amount of other dispatchers in the background, and some of them the camera would pan to a good amount. And, like, you kind of saw them. There was a handful of characters, specifically that cat guy who's always making coffee.
Yeah.
Like, literally the game opens the intro with one of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, never explain him, though. And so to me, I'm like, that's why I'm curious if, like, they may do another team, because they keep kind of showing these other people.
Oh, yeah, there's characters all over the place.
Yeah.
The game is full of characters. That's why I think if you were to do a second one, there would be other characters involved.
Yeah.
Just how many. I mean, how many of the original cast come back, I guess, is just the question.
So I'm assuming day one you're buying
Oh,
this new
100%.
season.
100%. I'm hooked on this one. And, we've talked about that in previous episodes. I've grown to just love these types of games. And I'm always excited to play a new one. And this one, again, to me, is the best one ever made. I think the story absolutely nails it. I would prefer this gameplay over the classic kind of just walk around and pick up collectibles thing.
I agree.
And if they flesh that out just a little bit more and make that a little bit more impactful, I mean, this is like near perfection for me.
Jeez.
Yeah, because if you're going to nail the characters, you're going to nail the story, and you're going to make this gameplay loop fun as it is, but just more impactful. I don't know. What else would I want from this?
All right, good point. Well, I guess with that, I mean, we could get our final thoughts here. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think we hit all the good stuff, and we remained pretty much spoiler free. So
Yes.
I'm proud of us because I would rather people experience this thing as close to blind as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so starting off, like I said, I do like these story-driven games. Like I said, it's always a good time for me and my friends to just sit back and drink some beers and kind of slightly play a game, but interact with the story. On Dispatch, I mean, talking about it, I guess I agree with Aaron. This is probably the best. My other top ones, I had some issues with, but this, I'm like, no, this was very funny. The story always kept me entertained. Like, we played it late in the night, and I was drinking, and I never was like, man, I'm tired. Like,
Did your buddy like it?
oh yeah, he loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Okay. I was kind of curious. You didn't really mention if he really loved it or if it was just you and he was like, this sucks.
No, yeah,
right.
whatever. Because even As Dusk Falls, like he still is like, man, that was such a fun time when we played that. And so, sure enough, when we did Dispatch, he's like, that was a great game. That was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, every chapter there was no weak chapters. Nothing felt slow. Nothing was like, oh, that was a boring chapter. Let's go to the next one. Maybe something exciting will happen. The Dispatch gameplay in it is very interactive and actually more entertaining and fun. Like I said, the hacking mini game was kind of lame. It just, I don't know. It was there, but
Yeah.
it was very simple and just, I don't know. I didn't care for that
Got a
part.
little tricky at the end.
Some of them, when you're kind of dealing with creatures like the things that could kick
Chase
you
you?
out a
Yeah.
little bit, but yeah. But yeah, the characters and the dialogue are just absolutely top notch. The humor in it, like I said, it isn't edgy for the sake of being edgy and crude for being crude. Yes, there is some nudity, but you can turn it off. Once again, it tells you at the beginning, do you want nudity off? But how nudity is done is usually very funny. It is obviously pretty childish. There's a good amount of fart jokes, but every time it was just out of left field and kind of caught me off, and it always made me laugh. So this was a very good time. I'd give this a 90.
Yeah, I don't know what more I can really say about this one. This was my top game of last year for a reason. I genuinely don't know what more I could change on this other than a little bit more of that Dispatch stuff to be a little bit more meaningful. If they were to flesh that out into the next game, gosh, this would be absolute perfection for me. I went into this, excited because I like those types of games, but I'm always a little skeptical. I'm always a little skeptical. Was it really that good? And yeah, it was that good for me. I really, really enjoyed it. I was shocked at how quickly it got me. I kind of expected this is going to take me a little bit to get there. Like, take Expedition 33, which is probably the other great story of last year. It took me a little while. I didn't necessarily fall in love with that game immediately. I know a lot of
15
people
minutes,
did.
I was like, I'm good on Expedition. I love
know
that.
a lot of people did. It took me a little bit more, and then those moments feel like they have a little bit more weight. Sometimes when you're kind of walking in, you're like, I don't even know these people. And a bunch of people died. You're like, okay, I mean, I didn't really know them. It takes me a little bit. This one got me very, very quickly, though. It just worked. So, yeah, for me, this is a 94.
Well,
94.
all right, everyone. There you have it. So definitely check out Dispatch. Like I said, unfortunately, not on Game Pass. Doubt it probably will ever be, but spend the $30. It's worth it.
It is.
Absolutely worth it. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. I've been your Hardcore Gamer host, Andrew. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Not always.
Oh,
Just
okay.
sometimes. And make sure, depending on when this episode comes out, remember we do have a regular episode out on Wednesday. I'm assuming you're sending this on Monday, maybe?
Yeah. We never really do a set schedule, but yeah.
So make sure you check out the other episode too.
So yeah, make sure. And also check us out on Spotify. Help us out, get a part of the program. Thank you all. We love you. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.